All video clips contained on Football Talk with Coach Chip are meant for analysis, criticism, comment, teaching, and research by football coaches. We believe this falls under the fair use doctrine of the Copyright Act, Section 107. Hey coaches, welcome back to Football Talk with Coach Chip. This is the 6th installment of troubleshooting here in the 2024 season. But if you're listening to this in 2044, stay there. This is evergreen. What we're talking about is applicable in the past, in the present, and in the future. I had several coaches the past few weeks hit me up about, what can they do? Their H's aren't real physical. This is not, we're talking high school and sub-varsity football. 95% of my coaches, so small school, varsity, and sub-varsity football. Those are my subscribers. Those are the faithful viewers of the channel and listeners of the podcast. You can't just go out and get one. This isn't D1 football. We can't portal one in and give him a ton of NIL money. We're going to talk today about how we can be smart with them and still maintain a physical run game without a bruiser at that sniffer spot. And maybe you've got that bruiser, but you don't want to have to sub him in every time you're going to run power or buck or whatever. And then everybody knows, okay, they took the better catching or more athletic H out, and they put the 220-pound H in there, the second string tight end who's also the second string H, and you stuck him in there. Well, now they know what's up. So what can we do? So we're going to talk about that today. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about the podcast. Oh, it's on Apple and it's on Spotify. Please go over there, check it out. There's some good stuff. The last episode, we were talking about bundling our plays, kind of like the video we did last week, but more detail, and about scripting your offense. That was good stuff. And I've finally got my computer back working, and I'm going to get a couple of guests on here. And it's just hard to get guests during football season. And to be honest with you, I haven't asked a ton of coaches because I just feel bad. I'm afraid some of them, being friends of mine, will say yes just because they're a friend of mine. And I don't want to bother them during their season because there's 9 months after the season that I can talk to them. It's really good. I think, in all humility, it's stuff that I want to talk about and it's stuff that I want to hear when I was still coaching. And so go on over there to Apple. If you get your podcast on Apple or Spotify, and it's on others too. Once you get on Apple, everybody else feeds off of them. I don't know how that works, but it's there. And go over there and give me a favorite review, please. Hit a like on it and all that. And while we're talking about that, be sure to like this video right now. Go ahead, mash that thumbs up button with your cursor. See, right there. And also go ahead and subscribe. And you've been listening to me for 2, 3, some of y'all 4 years. Right now, check and see if you're subscribed. Go ahead, pause the video, reduce the screen where you can see the stuff written underneath it. Does it say subscribed? If it doesn't, click on it. Touch it with your finger if you're on your device. Move your mouse over there to it, cursor, and click on it if you're watching on a PC. Believe it or not, some people think they are and they're not. And some people actually did subscribe, but for some reason, whatever, it got kicked off. Could have been you got a new device. Could have been you got a new computer. This is one way you can do it. If you're a Buck team, and I got this idea, if y'all remember back early summer, Coach Jason Allen of Chambers Academy, he puts his H in here and stacks him, calls him a plug. That way he can kick out with him on power and block down right here with him on buck. So that idea there. And then somebody was telling me, and Kenny and I are good friends, Kenny Simpson, that he calls this the bypass. You guys that are running Kenny and I, we talk and all that kind of stuff, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've ever got into great detail with him on the buck, because usually when we get together, it's at a clinic, he's speaking, I'm speaking, and we just kind of, hang out for a little bit and don't talk a lot of ball because we've been talking ball all day at the clinic. they call it bypass. And it's a great idea. Here's why. Okay, it's the same principle behind the GH counter. Instead of putting a running back or a backfield, a skill guy on a lineman, now this here's, S for the strong linebacker, but this is a guy that's used to playing on the line of scrimmage. That's a 9. What if it's a 4-3 and it's a legit defensive end? Do you really want your backs? Now, some backs can do it. Some wings can do it. H's can do it. We know that. But as we said before, we can't control what comes through the door, what gets off that yellow cheese wagon in the morning, and what mama drops off. And we can't control necessarily what comes out for football or who comes out. Also, too, it struck me when these coaches were asking about this, about Michigan the last few years. And we'll get more into that in a little bit. But one of the things you can do if you're a Buck team, that is a hard block. Even for if you got a tight end type playing right here. That's a difficult block because he's got to hold it. That's probably in the wing T, the block that needs to be sustained the longest. Because look, whether you're in gun or you're under center like this diagram, it doesn't matter. We're going to block it the same. Look how far this cat's got to come across the formation to get to the point of attack. Now, what you do when you do bypass or you do go around the defensive end on Buck, your running back has to know it's now a shorter Buck. Okay, instead of hitting the D gap here on the wing back's down block, or the H, whatever you call him, he's going to hit the C gap right here off the tight end's down block. So it is a shorter Buck. It's the Buck that we ran for years because we didn't have, the 4-man surface over here. We just had the 3-man surface, guard, tackle, and then our H. So it's hitting, right? It's a little shorter Buck, so your running back has to know that. And also your front side guard has to know that the kick is coming one gap sooner. Instead of the kick happening out here, it's happening right here. So he needs to know that so he can get his step, get his depth, get downhill. Now, almost like a play side trap. It's almost like the old school down, the under center wing T, when the fullback gets it and runs it right here. See, and that's another reason to do this. You may have your best big back, if you're a traditional wing T team, playing fullback. And so now your wing back over here is more of a skill kid. And also, if you play two skill kids at the running back and at the wing back, when you go to the double wing stuff, the red, white, and blue, as Tubby used to call it, Coach Raymond, I say that, call him Tubby like we're buddies. We're not. I saw him speak one time at any meeting when I was a young coach. You now have the option of running both of them. I can remember back in the day, back in the 80s, 90s, down in South Alabama when Dothan High was very good at running the wing T. They had two running back types playing this, and they ran a lot of the red, white, and blue stuff. And they ran a ton of Buck, and they'd buck both of them. They'd right here and put him in motion and run short Buck here, or put him here, short motion, run Buck here, and they could count it, and they could run short Buck to the weak side or the regular Buck. So you can do that if you're not trying to block down on a guy that's a D lineman with a skill kid, with a 160-pound running back type kid, because you want the ability to run counter crisscross and run wing back counter and run reverse and all kind of cool things that you couldn't do with the bigger kid. I'm not saying don't play the bigger kid. I'm saying if you don't have them, or if your attitude is, I want two skill guys, like I want RB1 right here, RB2 right here. So you got both of them in the game at the same time. It's not like, they're sharing one position. They're both in the game. Now the defense has to be aware of that. They will be aware of that. And so you don't have to count on him sustaining that block on a 9-tech. Or if you're like me and you got him split out over here and you got your H here, sustaining a block on a 5-tech. Of course, that really would be a short kick for that play side guard. I've never done it, but it's just something you could do. Before we go to the next slide, be sure to smash that thumbs up if you haven't done so already. Like the video, folks. The other thing you can do is still run the short buck hitting in the C gap, and have the wingback step down and threaten the 9, just like he did a while ago. He's threatening him and then goes around him just like the old down. But back to this one, step down like you're going to block him, which makes that kick a little easier because he's thinking, oh no, I'm about to get blocked now. And then turn out on the corner. And now you're running short buck, you're kicking with play side, and you're wrapping with backside. And that thing's hitting a little tighter. But again, you're getting a favorable matchup, with your kids. You're turning out on the first man outside the DN. It could be the corner. In this diagram it is. It could be, if they run a true 4-4, it could be the outside backer, if he's not walked up on the line to get kicked and there's somebody inside of him. So these are two things you can do. And also, if you're not a buck team, you use your wing back, your H, to block. Find ways to give him a favorable matchup. You don't ask a kid to do something that they can't do. That's your job, coach. Or do something they can't do very well. And it could be they're great blockers 9 out of 10 games on the schedule because they're really good blockers, but you got that one team that's got a serious war daddy playing right here. Why do that? And you've heard me say it before. In the art of war, it's best not to storm walled cities, to attack stone walls. You beat your head up against the wall over and over again. All that does is give you a headache. So I'm just going to keep pounding away at it. We're going to knock it down, just like the goat that kept hitting the dam. Okay. By the way, y'all do know it's a fairy tale. All right. So those two things you can do on buck or other things. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It looks just like this down here at the bottom. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. And we're going to get to some video too in a moment of all the things I've told you about so far, and this one. Now, this is the one, if you go back to Jim Harbaugh's first year or two at Michigan, and you'll see them running a boatload of power, traditional power, I formation with a fullback, offset the fullback. It looked like a maize and blue version of North Dakota State, the way they ran power. He'd run it over and over again. He was trying to establish the culture, the physicality of that program. But then you fast forward to the last 2 or 3 years, like last year when they won it in 23, and then the 2 years before that, they were pretty daggum sporty. You didn't see a lot of traditional power. You saw a lot of what I call GH counter, ghost counter. But why? Look at those kids, and I'm going to show you a video clip of it. And by the way, all video is used for analysis. And it falls under the fair use doctrine of the copyright law. And please understand this about using that H. You can put not necessarily a true wide receiver there, but that flex tight end type kid. And you go back and you look at the video, and I'm going to show you one, but go back and look at the last 3 years Harbaugh was at Michigan. They used like undersized tight ends in this position right here. But instead of asking them to kick out a 4 or a 5, they use their guard or their center, because they pull their center a lot, depending on what the defensive front was, to kick the lineman. So you're getting a big on big. That's what we did for years in our pass pro too. I did not use full slide protection ever if I did not have a running back that I trusted to shut down the side we were sliding away from. If I did not have I don't even care about size. Was he salty? Would he get in there and get in that DN's business? And we always used the partial slide and let the back match up on a linebacker. That's a better matchup. And so it's the same thing in your run game. You're looking for better matchups. So instead of running traditional power, and by the way, guys, they run this, what we call GH counter, and they're not even countering. He may take a jab step to allow the lineman in the H to pull, but it's not like a true counter. They use this play like their power. And you see a lot more teams doing it now. You see them in the NFL doing it. That way they don't have to sub out and give away what they're doing, because, you know, at the higher levels, when you sub out on offense, what's the defense do? They sub out. And the rule even allows them to do it. So if you sub late in the play clock, you may get a delay of game, even though you're ready to go, because the defense gets an adequate time to match your substitutions. It's the same thing in high school. They may not put new people in, but they're going to change their defensive call when they say, all right, they're sending the big boy in. All right, let's go to this front. Or let's make this call, because they're like 80% run when the big boy's in there. And it's going to be power or lead. You don't have to do that if you're a little more creative and think a little bit, not outside the box, because this has become in the box thinking. Let's look at some video. All right, now this is a buck. This is a gun wing T type team. And watch, he's not going to try to block that D in. He's going to go in and block the linebacker. Now, I think the quarterback keeps it on this because they're reading it. But I had a lot of video on this team that I got, somebody sent me a long time ago. That's why it's old film. You can see how fuzzy it is. They did this a lot, but they also read with the quarterback a lot. So you'll see that right there about to happen. See, look, right through there, boom, getting on a linebacker. Now the quarterback kept it, but you see what I'm talking about. All right, here's another one. Watch him. Goes in to get a linebacker. Quarterback kept it again. It's the same team. Watch this. Boom. They're playing on that wet field. See, he's missing. They're not trying to get him. Look, the guard came and kicked him. Okay, here's the DN. Okay, got a hand on the ground. These cats are not accustomed to that, so just let him bypass him. And if he's in there a little snugger, heavy on that technique on the tight end or the tackle, that's fine. Cheat him out a little bit. Give him a good angle. Let him come right there. And let him come right at him. Make this kid think he's blocking down on him. And it's going to soften up that kick for the guard. Watch. He didn't hear. But see, the guard's got him. All right. Another one. And he gave it this time. I watched the wing back, what we called H in our offense. He's going to go in here and get a linebacker. See right there. That's a better matchup. If you wouldn't ask him to pass block a D lineman, why would you ask him to do a block on a D lineman that he has to sustain for a long period of time? If you don't believe me, look how long it takes him to get from here to here. Talking about the running back. So that's a long time to hold a block. Oh, we got one more buck. Look, there he goes. Look, turn your hips, son. Turn your hips. It's not bad. It's a good block. But he's on a backer. He's not on a DN. He's not on any D lineman. All right, now this is some of the counter stuff. Now this is one I've shown you before on some counter videos. Somebody told me it was an XFL team. I don't know. You're going to get a kick by an offensive lineman, a big on a big, and you're going to get a wrap by the H, the sniffer, and he'll wrap to a linebacker. Favorable matchups. It's GH all the way. Boom. Here's your kick right there by the guard. And here comes your wrapper. Good job getting on that inside number, hitting that thing downhill. That's good stuff, cuz. All right, now here's Michigan. Now they're going to pull their center because he's got the angle for the block here, and of course he's got the angle for the block here, so they're going to pull the center and kick. Same principle, though. Guys, this is power. This is power. They're just swapping responsibilities. And you got a lineman kicking instead of an H, an F, or whatever. And look at this kid. He's not very big. This is a flex, like a 215-pound tight end, flex tight end, maybe 220. This is not a big kid. And he's going to wrap right here. Now, he's a big kid in my program and your program, but not at Michigan and not playing University of Georgia. You want this cat right here to do a J block on one of these dadgum monsters up here that play for the Bulldogs? Shoot. This is brilliant coaching, brilliant scheming by Coach Sherrone Moore and Coach Harbaugh. And this is where they did it for the last 3 years Harbaugh was there. Look, there's your kick. Look here. Now you got an athlete on an athlete. You got an eligible number on an eligible number. So that's, you got a big on a big out here on the kick. Instead of inversing it, why put this guy on the 5 and then put the big guy on the athlete? Athlete versus athlete, lineman, big on big, big versus big. That's good stuff. Do it again. There you go. And that's why you do it. All right, coaches, that'll do it for the 6th installment of troubleshooting during the 2024 season. I hope you got something out of it. Hey, the Jet Manual's still percolating. The offensive line manual's there. It had some people that actually ordered here in the middle of the season. Good for you. Good for me. So hit me up at siegel.chip@gmail.com and see what I can get you and what we can get each other. Also, we've got our freebies. The call sheet, I just sent one of those off this morning along with the practice plan. And we've got all kind of good freebies. I've got it's a 2-page PDF on the scripting and the bundling. It goes along good with the last podcast and one of the videos from last week where we talked about doing that kind of thing. Also, if you want to dive deeper in any concepts or want help troubleshooting, hit me up, siegel.chip@gmail.com. And of course, we can get together in Zoom and do an online consultation. It says installs, but remember, that's been up there since summer. Hey, opportunity to support old Coach Chip. Buymeacoffee.com/Coach Chip. Just go there, click on it. It'll tell you what to do. It's real easy. I did it. I've sent a cup of coffee to a couple of guys just to show my appreciation for what they do. Sharing with coaches, helping coaches do better and be better. There's an example of the sample practice schedule, and that's just a screenshot of it. It is a Microsoft Excel file that you plug in your stuff to, absolutely free. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, and there is the call sheet, and it's 2 pages. It comes with a 2-point conversion chart. It comes with the 4-minute offense chart that tells you like how many plays and based on timeouts and how much time is left in the game before you can start taking a knee. Where do you need to be at what point in the clock, the game clock to, win a tight game. And also you see that's a front and back, and it's got all kind of stuff about scripting. I recommend the call sheet go hand in hand with the scripting, how to do the scripting article that's available. And there's a screenshot of some of those things that are available. Hey, coaches. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for 4 years. Hey, let's share this thing. I want to get to 4,000 subs. No, 3,500. 3,500 subs by Halloween of 2024. If you're seeing this in the future and say, well, it's too late now. It's not too late. Go ahead and click on subscribe. But I like doing those pushes based on holidays. We did one back in the summer based on July 4th, and that's when we broke the 3,000 subscription plateau. And I've kind of hung in there now. We're up over 3,300. So we picked up 300 since July 4th, and here we are early in October. And I know that's not a lot for these big-time YouTubers, but it's a lot for old Coach Chip. And I appreciate all of you that are consistently watching. But please share it. Put it on your Twitter, X. Put it on your Facebook or your Instagram, whatever it is you do with social media. And if you don't do social media, that's fine. You got coaches in your email. Just copy the link to the channel and send it to him. Say, hey, this old coot's pretty good, and he's funny. He says crazy crap. All right. Do all those things for me, and everything will be sunshine, rainbows, and roses. Until next time, be elite.